Hello there, my name is Miguel Sierra, and along with my partners Denis, Hector, and Eric, we will be exposing the theme of antacids. We will be learning all about them, their importance, what they are used for, and basically the world without them and what they are made of as well. Well, first of all, in order to understand what an antacid is, we need to understand what they are needed for. And to understand this, we need to know what a gastric juice is. What is a gastric juice? The gastric juice is a thin and acidic digestive fluid that is secreted by the glands of the mucous membrane that covers the stomach. Now, if we look at the picture here, there's a very common misconception that a gastric juice is the liquid that you can see there, but as the text says, a gastric juice is basically a fluid that covers the stomach, so it can be seen around the sides. Now, what are they made of? Three main things: hydrochloric acid, electrolytes, and organic substances. Inside the hydrochloric acid, you can tell that hydrochloric acid has a pH of approximately 1.5, and this corresponds to its concentration. Electrolytes such as sodium, potassium, calcium, phosphate, and many more. And organic substances such as the mucus, pepsins, and protein. They also contain, of course, water. Now, the hydrochloric acid in the stomach. The content itself of this acid is very high, and the constant influx of this hydrogen ions through the membrane can cause many problems, such as muscle contraction, pain, inflammation, and bleeding. So the solution to this problem is with the use of an antacid.
Well, continuing with the subjects, we're going to see what are the antacids. Well, antacids are basic or alkaline substances, meaning they are the contrary of acids, but apart of joining themselves to the acids, they can combine and form substances that they are not acid nor alkaline, but neutral. For this, it is said that antacids are neutralizers. When the stomach acid enters in contact with an antacid, a salt and water is formed. This reaction quickens, thus the antacid effect is also quick. Many antacids combine in one table. For example, calcium carbonate can be combined with magnesium hydroxide. The purpose of this combination is that to enhance the effect of each component, but using the least dose of each of them. The function of an antacid can be also optimized if, a part of using the effects of the blocker on the antacid form, you add a remedy that reduces the production acid from the stomach, such as the famotidine. This favors not only a rapid effect, but also a long one.
To explain what a neutralization reaction is, let me talk first about acids and bases. An acid is an ionic compound of the hydrogen cation dissolved in water. A base is a proton acceptor that is a species which can incorporate an extra proton into its molecular or ionic structure. Next. As mentioned before, the job of an antacid is that of an sterilization reaction that is formed when acid and base dissolutions are mixed. The products of the reaction don't have the characteristic properties of an acidic dissolution, but neither from basic dissolutions. For example, when chlorhydric acid is mixed with a sodium hydroxide dissolution. One of the most common and widely used ways to complete a neutralization reaction is through titration. Titration is a slow addition of one solution of a known concentration, called a titrant, to a known volume of another solution of a known concentration until the reaction reaches the neutralization, which is often indicated by a color change. The solution called the titrant must satisfy the necessary requirements to be a primary or secondary standard.
Well, now that we know about acids and bases, we can talk about this, buffers. The principal function of an antacid, as we know, is to neutralize the excess of hydrochloric acid in the gastric juice, and everyone knows that, but how they do it? Well, some antacids contain something that we call buffer, and it is the elemental component of this, because a buffer solution can resist the pH change when you add some acid or basic components, and it is able to neutralize small amounts of the change of pH. These solutions have a working pH range. In other words, they have a limit of how much acid or how much bases they can resist. And for this reason, there are some antacids like Alka-Seltzer and Tums that, well, one can be best than the other if you see the quality of the buffer, if you see how much pH it can tolerate. And well, what are buffers made of? A buffer is like a mixture of a weak acid and a weak base. So for this reason, it can tolerate both change in pH high and change of a low pH. Well, and a fun fact is that the human body produces heat on buffer. Heat, everyone knows, but sometimes it needs a little help. When you eat some like Doritos Dinamita, it's very important to have some antacid in your house.
Well, we have learned all about them. Now we know what a gastric fluid is, we know what acid and bases are, we know about neutralizations, about buffers, and we have learned all about the theme. We can conclude that the world would be very different without these antacids, and well, yeah, they're very important for our health. Thank you for your attention, and this was all for the presentation.